All right, well, I'm really excited to be joined by Matt Foley. Matt is both an adjunct professor at Walsh College and also a proud alum of Walsh. You got your MBA, I think, with a finance concentration at Walsh College.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
And Matt, you are a plan analyst manager at Marsh and McClellan Agency. And so thank you for taking some time today to just talk to us a little bit about, the value of an MBA degree and also what you're seeing in the professional work world as your company is navigating change and hiring. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So let's just get started right away. So tell me a little bit about your choice to get an MBA and what value that you believe that has in the work world and maybe what value it's brought to you specifically in your job.
Yeah, thanks. And for me, a lot of the MBA was, just a continuation, of my undergraduate degree. And what I really enjoyed about the MBA program and what served me the most now is really getting into the thought process and how to solve problems, how to present, the findings of those problems and recommendations to, people that would normally I wouldn't, present to, CEO, CFO, high level C-suite people. And really the MBA gave me the confidence to do that, but also gave me the skills to do that.
Yeah, that's so interesting too, when you talk about that, because you're right. All of a sudden now it's not even just the solving of the problems, but it's the communicating of the problems and the solution to people in leadership and management roles. So, and that's so invaluable, right? Anytime you can bring a solution to people, you're solving a problem, you're creating value.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you see when you're looking at the economy right now and some of the changes? I mean, if you can speak a little bit about what your company does and kind of what you look for in hiring. I have a lot of students and graduates that ask questions about, okay, what is it that I really need to master during my time in a graduate program? Or what is it that employers are looking for? What would you say?
Yeah, we have a very extensive interview process, and we look at people on multiple levels. I manage a group of analysts, so I need smart people. So that's kind of step one is very smart people and people that not only are book smart but then can apply that knowledge. And that's what really kind of a lot of analyst work is understanding what the information and the data is, and then getting into the why. Why is that, and what can we do with it, and how can we affect change with that information? It's just a bunch of numbers is really just a bunch of numbers until we can tell a story. And and getting into telling that story is really important. So it's that intelligence and then the communication that comes along with that about how can we affect change.
Yeah, I like that. I like how you talked about it from the standpoint of being able to interpret the data. So it's not just enough to be able to obtain the data or to be able to figure out what the issue is, but then you have to know what to do with it once you have figured it out, once you have actually diagnosed the problem. And you're looking for smart people too. In fact, we were talking about this a little bit before. And can you share a little bit about the hiring process at your company and what you guys use? I know it's different for each company, but I thought this was really interesting for folks to be aware of.
Yeah, so we do multiple tests throughout the interview process that really get into the cognitive ability, people's numerical abilities, verbal reasoning abilities, to really go beyond just a question and answer format, to really get into how do they work, how does their brain work, and how can that best be paired with our needs. And how can we fit them into our company and be able to use their strengths to the best of their abilities. That helps to make them feel fulfilled, and then it also benefits us because when people are fulfilled, they do good work. So if we're working with their strengths, we both win.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I think that's really important as people are evaluating job opportunities to make sure that it is really a good fit overall. It's not like you're just auditioning to get the job. You really want to make sure that it's a good fit so that you'll be fulfilled in the position, in the career. Matt, what do you think is going to be happening post-COVID? And I know it's a big question everybody's asking is what's the world going to look like in a year or 2 years? And everybody says, oh, we don't know, we do know. But do you see any, you work with data, you analyze these things. Do you see any trends or do you see any themes that you would share with folks who are getting their business education, whether it's undergrad or whether they're looking at a master's or an MBA, that you think would be important for them to know and what you think is going to, pan out?
Well, I think one of the most important things, that coming out of this is our ability to continue to do this. In a pre-COVID world, we would have had this conversation face to face, but now and moving forward, virtual is really the way that we will do business. Not always. There's always the time, and need for face-to-face interaction. But there is a lot that can be gained from doing things virtually, saving the travel time, the drive time, all of those different things, where we can do much of what we used to do in person, doing it virtually. There's a whole lot of skill sets and practice and things like that need to come along with it. Communication is different, in this environment. Being comfortable being on screen. I spend, many of my days, 7-8 hours a day on Zoom and on camera, and at this point, it doesn't bother me anymore. So, but that's a fear for many people, and then uncomfortableness, and not to tell people just to get over it, but get comfortable with it. Find your comfort zone there, and things that work for you, and that may be just turning your own camera off so you don't see yourself.
Yeah, I've done that before. I just hide my self view, and then it feels more like you're in a room with someone across a table because we're not constantly staring at ourselves in the mirror across the table. But now this has really thrown us into a new way of interacting. And I agree with you. In fact, I was just talking to some faculty today, and they were saying, wow, it's amazing now how much can be done virtually and how student feedback is even coming back, that they like it. They do love the interaction with people in person. I think we'll always have that. Yet they are asking about, wow, I was driving to campus or I was driving somewhere to have this meeting. A lot of employers, they're noticing their travel budgets don't need to be as large because they can do more virtually now, and the client is more comfortable with that. So that's interesting that you say that, because we've talked a little bit about that even at Walsh, about the importance, and we build this into our classes, of digital and virtual communication and professionalism in that communication. Everything from how do you sit, how do you stand, how do you communicate? What is your background? How do you use technology to do this? It's like a whole new ballgame.
It is, and not just not just from a communication standpoint, but also from a job opportunity standpoint. We and many other employers, have taken a long look at who do we hire, and am I constrained to Metro Detroit now, or are my kind of geographical regions opened up because I may not need people to come into the office every day? I can do this virtually.
Boy, that is so right, because I was talking to folks who say the same thing. They say, wow, we can really diversify our workforce now in amazing ways, because we can include more remote teams and we'll have access to greater applicant pools across the country and even the world. So yeah, I mean, I love talking about these because they really show you the benefits that some of these challenges can bring us if we are looking for opportunities, even in adversity, and seeing the opportunities that we can pull forward that are so important, really. Matt, kind of a couple parting words, because I really appreciate the time that you're giving. When you looked at the MBA program at Walsh and you were deciding to go to Walsh, what was it that really made the decision, apparent for you? And what would you say are the benefits and the highlights of the program that you would tell other people if they're kind of sitting on the fence, they're not sure they want to enroll, they don't know if now is the time to get an MBA? What can you tell them about your own choice and then your journey?
Yeah, my choice for Walsh really came down to a couple of things. One is, this school is all about business, and I was going for a business degree, and I wanted a school that really focused on business and was really, tuned in there, and then also ingrained in the community. There are business leaders, there are managers, there are people from Walsh throughout, the Metro Detroit community. And being able to tap into that network and have that common bond with people was really important to me.
Yeah. That's so important because, you hear about how your network is really many times your net worth. It really depends on how big you can connect with people, how much you can connect with people, and how big your network is, so that when you need to tap in for client base or for references or referrals or just community, it's there. And Walsh has that. Walsh has a strong, in fact, I think 85% of our alumni are in this area or have settled in the Metro Detroit area in Michigan, which is really extensive when you think about it. And so the community there is solid. Yeah. Thank you so much. I mean, do you have any thoughts on, it is now the time to get an MBA? And I mean, that's kind of a question, the honest answer, you don't have to say yes if it's not, but is now a time you think for people to invest and go in on education? And if so, why?
I think so. And one of my, I took this to my staff not too long ago, that every time we come into, a very defining moment, right now it's the pandemic. In our business, it was the Affordable Care Act, years ago. And every time we come into these defining moments, they are opportunities. So right now there's an opportunity, because the world won't be the same coming out of this. And so if we remain the same, we'll be missing out. So, taking these times to better ourselves and move forward and continue, to better ourselves throughout this process, on the other side of it, we'll be ahead of the game. So I think, yes, it's perfect time.
Yeah, we saw that in the 2009, 2008, 2009 recession. People that went all in, that got an education, that, decided to invest in themselves, did so much better in the even the short to long term, right? The fewer years coming out, because they were prepared and they changed their normal. Like many times we get complacent, we get set in our normal, and we're like, oh, every day is just the same. I don't see any change. But like you're talking about, when you change who you are, when you adjust, when you invest in yourself, you're changing your normal and you're keeping up with the new normal in the world, which is going to be different when we come out of it. So yeah, no, those are great. Those are great thoughts. Thank you. Matt, thank you for joining today and for sharing some of your wisdom and your insights. You're such a great example of a Walsh alum, faculty member. I know you give back in the classroom with the students and with the faculty, and we just really appreciate your time and your talent and your expertise. So thank you.
Thank you.